So um, I wasn't gonna say anything about this, but it has bothered me um, to the utmost degree. Um, the things that have occurred to me here in Texas. I'm grateful and I'm so thankful that God has allowed me to stay. In other words, stay alive. I'm still living through the things that have occurred. Uh, it's been it's been hard, um, uh, and dealing with those things. But I'm praying that you know wherever this video goes, wherever it's posted, or I decide to post it, that some people with a conscience um, look into it. Uh, so let me give you some content. On 11/30/2020, I was involved in a collision with a tractor trailer. I was driving Lyft um, in my Lexus GS 350 with a passenger in the vehicle on 635 here in Mesquite, Texas. That tractor trailer rear-ended my vehicle, um, and the attempt to avoid a direct rear-ending. When he realized that he was about to hit me, he swerved to the right, thus clipping just a corner of my right bumper uh, with impact enough to uh, fold in my quarter panel on that right passenger's rear. The passenger I had in the vehicle was a gentleman who I was taking to pick up his daughter from daycare. The conversation we had was regarding that fact, that his girlfriend was going to be upset with him. Initially, when we got in the car, then there was no more conversation about that. Um, at the point of impact, we were quiet. He was actually looking at his phone. I was driving, obviously, paying the utmost attention to the road when, in the process of merging into a lane to uh, merge onto another highway, the tractor trailer, which was traveling in twos, one proceeded in front of me, and I then uh, put on my signal to fall in behind that vehicle. And at the moment I did that, the other tractor trailer, which wasn't paying attention, it's clearly evident that he was not paying attention because he never blew his horn, he never locked his brakes. There was no skid or no swerve of any kind, other than after the impact, he swerved to the right to avoid the direct impact, thus taking out the entire side of my vehicle, sideswiping it. Um, I decided to get an attorney. The attorney's name was Jim Adler here in Texas, who um, constantly and um, often boast about they will look after you, they will take care of you if you're ever in a tractor trailer accident. They did not. They uh, pretty much just led me on for a year, and I'll get to that. The reason I feel that happened. Uh, for a year, I had a case manager, and I say for a year because by the end of the first year, after that first accident, after the almost into the first accident, a year into the first accident, they called me and told me that the truck driver has denied fault, and thus the claim adjusters for that insurance company will not be making any offer. So at that point, they decided to. I was told by my case manager that they would refer my case to a litigating firm, Morales and Lopez, out of Richardson, Texas. Um, Now, this was uh, by February of the following year, so it hadn't quite been a full year. Um, the accident happened again November 30th, 2020. Um, it was um, January, I'm sorry, not January, it was July of 2021 that my second accident occurred, um, which was another matter altogether, which I'll get to. Well, um, I believe it was August or September. I was then called or notified by Jim Adler office. Veronica, my case manager, said that we got we were notified by the insurance company or by the claim adjusters for the insurance company, and the driver has denied fault, so they would not be making an offer. Which at that point, as I said before, she then referred me to the litigating firm, Morales and Lopez. Um, Now, in July of 2021, another accident occurred and another vehicle I had purchased. That vehicle was also rear ended while I was waiting in traffic. In the same scenario, the lady who hit me in her Volvo uh, swerved to one direction to avoid full impact, thus showing that because she swerved to the left, the most impact occurred to her front right, as did with the tractor trailer. As he swerved to, I'm sorry, as she swerved to the left, the most impact happened on the Volvo to her right uh, front end. As with the tractor trailer swerving to the right, the impact occurred on his left front, thus looking as if I cut him off. Um, if I had cut him off or was about to cut him off, then I would have heard a horn. Would have been his braking or something. Um, Folks, let me give you a little background. Prior to that accident, I had been in an accident almost 40 years. I haven't had a ticket in over 35, close to 40 years. I'm not a reckless driver. I have no intent to cause bodily injury or harm to myself or to another, for no reason, for no purpose, no monetary gain, no other purpose. This man was on his way to pick up his daughter. The conversation that we was having was regarding that conversation, regarding that matter. My dash cam recorded us greeting, having a brief conversation regarding that matter, and then nothing else. We never discussed insurance fraud or the idea of let's cut in front of this truck, and um, try to get money out of it. None of those things were ever brought up. My dash cam was recorded the entire time. Um, it showed where I was, where his vehicle, the truck was, the impact as it occurred, um, as it was with the lady in the Volvo. Um, July 30th, um, 2021. I'm driving a Lexus LS 460, 635 west, or I'm sorry, 75 northbound to 635 westbound. Coming up in an overpass, traffic stopped. Um, the lady wasn't paying attention, and I know the lady's name. I just won't mention it. Wasn't paying attention. plowed into me or realized that traffic had come to a stop. Trying to avoid traffic, she swerved to the left, or tried to avoid hitting me. She swerved to the left. In the police report, she stated just that, because I actually got out of the way with the intent of, with the purpose of not being hit, because there was a kind of a blind curve there. I wanted to get out of the way to give any car coming up on that curve or into that curve room to stop. In the police report, she stated that she followed Unit 1 or Unit 2, thus colliding with Unit 1, or thus colliding with Unit 2. So she was Unit 1, I was Unit 2, and she collided with me. She said that in the report, the police report. There was a police report taken. That was by the Dallas police. Now, getting back to the Mesquite Police Department, I was injured with that collision. SOP requires those police officers to do a police report and to cite that driver for a rear ending following too close, failure to maintain a safe distance of a vehicle. He was not cited for anything. He was not given there was no police report made. There should have been one made regardless. For insurance purposes, it has to be done. That's standard operating procedure. Yet there was no police report made. Before I could get up to walk the quarter mile up the road where he eventually pulled over, they had, while they were seeing to me, making sure I was okay, they allowed this driver to pull off. This truck driver pulled off before the accident was the accident scene was fully investigated. Before I was allowed to take pictures of the vehicle. Now, I know that Mesquite Police Department here in Texas have issues. I know that. I've heard it. I've seen it with my own two eyes. I'm not trying to pull a race card. However, the race was a factor because they were all white officers and white. Everyone there was white. Now, the attorney firm, Adler and Associates, Jim Adler and Associates, this crap about them, they'll fight for you, they'll go to bat for you. They don't do that. They hope for a settlement. I believe that the reason why they didn't press is because I wasn't broken up, busted, or injured in some way that was life-threatening. Yet, I suffered 3 herniated discs in my back, my neck, and 1 in my lower lumbar, which I still deal with today. The medical bills that surmounted was because of my attorney firms suggesting I go, or directing me to go to this place or that place for the purpose of not just building a case, but also to make sure that I'm good. Now, when they decide to drop the case, both attorney firms, Jim Adler and Morales and Lopez, sent me a certified letter a month and a half, 2 months ago. Now, just a couple months shy of my statute of limitations for this case, which is November 30th, 2022. Now, the bad part is this. That letter I received was drafted back in March of 2021. Let me say that again. The accident occurred November 30th, 2020. They decided just a few months later to not pursue my case, yet told me that they were pursuing my case. In fact, a couple months after this letter was drafted, called me and said that they will be referring my case to a litigating firm. That litigating firm never called me. I had to call them each and every time to get anything. They were always telling me that they're working on it, when in fact they were not working on it, because the letter I received from Jim Adler and Associates and Lopez and Morales, which are both stated on this letter, was drafted March 21st. March 21st, 2021. They had already decided that they were not going to pursue my case, yet they drug me on, drug it out, uh, almost in another additional over another year, claiming that they were actually fighting for my case. Now, my question is this: that letter was drafted so early or so soon after my case, after the accident occurred. Whose word did they take? Whose word were they? What they never even looked at. Neither firm ever asked for my dash cam. Never. Whose word were they taking? If the police department never did a police report, never cited the driver, yet the only information, only contact they had regarding the driver was through the claims office of the trucking company. And he told them that he's not admitting any fault. He's not taking liability. What was told of me, or ensued, or insinuated, I'm sorry, of me to me by the attorney's office was that there was not enough liability on the driver, the part of the truck driver, to pursue and win anything or get a settlement. They went solely based on what the truck driver said, who was an older white guy. Guys, I was screwed from the moment this impact occurred. For whatever reason, I don't know the reason. I absolutely do not know the reason. Yet I'm out two vehicles from rear-end collisions, and yet I'm having to rent a vehicle. There's some injustice about that. I had two vehicles paid for, rear-ended, suffered medical injuries, and yet I'm having to rent a car to this day just to have transportation. As a result of them dropping or deciding not to pursue the case, all those doctors, all those medical suggestions, and those places they've sent me, the attorney firms suggested I go, those bills have now fell into my lap. Who's going to pay those? I was the recipient of the service that was being provided, the medical service that was being provided, based on the suggestions of my attorney's offices. They were telling me to go to these places because of the potential of getting a settlement and being able to pay those doctor's bills. Those bills will eventually start flowing to me. Where are they going to go? I was the recipient of the service that was being provided, not the attorney's office. The attorney will not tell me or will not make any contact. Morales and Lopez, nor Jim Adler and Associates, their office will not make any contact with me regarding the matter of these medical bills. The purpose, the exact reason why they decided to not pursue the case. I have no answers. I'm out two vehicles with medical injuries suffered from both accidents. I'm out two vehicles and I'm having to rent a car. I have to believe, and I solely believe, that the reason that this claim wasn't pursued or decided not to be pursued because Mesquite Police Department did not do their job. They did not cite this driver who was clearly at fault. He rear-ended me, failure to maintain safe distance of the vehicle. No pictures was allowed. I was never allowed to take any pictures of the vehicle, of the truck. And there was no police report made.